Batman is back, and this time it's Robert Pattinson donning the mask and cape. As the movie begins, we find out he has been working as a vigilante for 2 years, so we know that he hasn't quite established himself as Gotham's savior just yet. Bruce is on a quest for justice to bring down the city's criminals with the help of Lieutenant Jim Gordon, Jeffrey Wright, whom he joins at Gotham's various crime scenes. As the plot unfolds, it is discovered a serial killer is at large in Gotham as a series of murders are discovered. Who is the movie's villain? There are a number of villains in the movie, including the Penguin, Colin Farrell, and powerful mob boss Carmine Falcone, John Turturro. However, the person responsible for the murders is the Riddler, Paul Dano, who leaves an enveloped clue at each crime scene for Batman to decipher. Like Batman, the Riddler is on a personal crusade for justice, although he is methodically taking out the corrupt dignitaries of Gotham, including the city's mayor. To complicate matters for Batman, he also has Bruce Wayne in his sights, as the Riddler thinks his parents had ties to Falcone. Batman needs to prevent the Riddler from committing any more murders, while also protecting his own identity in the process. As he seeks to find this nefarious serial killer, he has help from Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, Zoe Kravitz, who has her own reasons for getting involved in the case Batman is tied up in. How does Batman solve the case? Batman has to solve the clues that the Riddler leaves behind. One such cipher is El Ratolata, the rat with wings, which leads Bruce to Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. After a high-speed car chase, Batman captures Cobblepot, and this leads him to new information regarding what the Riddler is up to next. Unfortunately, the plans he uncovers involve his home, where the Riddler has mailed a bomb. Bruce Wayne, the intended recipient, isn't home to pick up the explosive package, of course, but Alfred is, and Batman is too late to protect his friend and mentor. Thankfully, Alfred isn't killed, but Batman still wants his revenge on the Riddler. After finding the location of his lair, he discovers the villain's real identity is Edward Nashton. Fortunately, the puzzling serial killer isn't too far away, as a police alert points to Nashton's location, a nearby diner. The Riddler is arrested and locked up, and, after meeting with him, Batman discovers his grand plan to destroy Gotham, which the Riddler believes is beyond saving. Batman heads to the villain's apartment and rips up the carpet in search of more clues. He finds a map that reveals the location of several bomb sites that have been placed to destroy the city's seawalls. When these bombs go off, the Riddler's plans will come to fruition, as the corrupt denizens of the city and everybody else will be killed when citywide flooding wipes them all out. Does Batman save the day? Unfortunately, Batman doesn't make it to the bombs in time. When they go off, the seawall explodes and mass flooding begins. Thankfully, the police, after being alerted to the Riddler's plans, have set up evacuation areas. Batman and Catwoman, after fighting off a number of faux Riddlers, do what they can to rescue Gotham's citizens. They may not have stopped the villain's master plan, but they are able to save the lives of most of the civilians. What happens to the Riddler? As the movie closes, the Riddler is still in prison. We hear him talking about his plan to end Gotham with another inmate. The identity of this other prisoner? Well, he has a very distinctive laugh, so it's clear that he is the Joker. While we don't fully see his face, the director has confirmed it is Barry Keogh, the Eternals, playing the role. This is where we leave both villains, but it is likely that they won't stay locked up for long. Do Batman and Catwoman ride off into the sunset together? Viewers of the movie will already know that Batman and Catwoman have a thing for one another, but as the movie ends, they both go their separate ways. As Batman rides off on his motorcycle, he takes a look back at Catwoman from his mirror, so it's clear he is still interested in her. Does he love her? Probably, but as he has the future of Gotham to save, any long-term relationship with Catwoman has to be put on the back burner. Riddle me this, riddle me that. What do you get when you cross the movies 7 and Saw with the big black bat? You get the Batman, the latest big screen outing for the Caped Crusader that is quite unlike any other. It's an overly long, overly dark, and overly serious movie that tested my patience at times. However, there are flashes of brilliance throughout, so, while it didn't live up to the hype for me, it's still a movie that demands to be seen. Robert Pattinson dons the mask and cape, and he plays a Batman that is younger and more messed up than Bale and Affleck's versions. Mercifully, we don't get to see the character's origin story again, but it is clear that his psyche has been affected by his troubled upbringing and his thirst for vengeance against the people who killed his family. This is a Bruce Wayne that is still coming to terms with his masked identity and who is still a little uncomfortable in his role. But as the movie progresses, we see his transformation from a slightly unhinged police aide to the savior of Gotham City, which is something that has rarely been played out in such an extended fashion before. Lovers of the comic books will be glad to know that this is a movie that plays to Batman's skills as the world's greatest detective. For much of the runtime, he is down at street level, investigating a string of murders in some of Gotham City's darkest and dingiest locations. There is a serial killer on the loose bumping off some of the city's most highly regarded dignitaries, and Batman is the shadowy figure that lingers behind Jim Gordon, picking up clues at each crime scene. The detective work and the neo-noirish tone of Matt Reeves' movie set it apart from the Bat movies that have come before. This is more a crime mystery than an action flick, although there are a few scenes that set the pulse racing, such as a car chase scene between Batman and the Penguin, an unrecognizable Colin Farrell. However, viewers shouldn't expect a high-octane superhero movie that favors fisticuffs over talking, as this is a mostly humorless affair that focuses on Batman's brains more than his brawn. Pattinson is excellent in the role of the brooding Batman, excellently conveying both his cleverness and his mental strife within his performance. When he was announced for the role, the keyboard warriors came out in force to criticize the director for choosing the former Twilight star. However, Pattinson has proven himself to be a capable actor outside of that tepid movie and its follow-ups, and hopefully, his turn as Batman will give any detractors cause to change their opinion of him. The cast includes the aforementioned Farrell as the Penguin, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, and John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. They are all as excellent as ever, but it's another actor who steals the show. I am, of course, talking about Paul Dano, who plays the movie's big bad, the Riddler. Aside from the occasional TV appearances, he has been missing from our screens for quite a while. But he more than makes up for that here, as he portrays a villain that is quite unlike Jim Carrey's incarnation of the character. He gives a quietly understated performance that is quietly sinister rather than full-blown crazy, and as such, he ably steals the scenes he is in without over-the-top facial tics and body twitches. It's a good job. Dano and the rest of the cast are so good. This is a long movie that, for much of the 3-hour running time, is steeped in darkness, and with far less capable actors, the overlength could have proved intolerable. But as the performances are all stellar, the talky nature of the script can be overlooked. The epic scale of the production design and Michael Giacchino's magnificent score also do much to maintain interest in the movie, so viewers are unlikely to be bored. The Batman could have done with a few moments of levity, and perhaps a little more color too, as the heavy tone and rain-drenched streets of Gotham do become overbearing at times. The short bursts of action help to break up some of the gloom, but I would have liked to have seen more scenes of Batman's superheroics scattered throughout. This movie is almost the antithesis of Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, which was too colorful and campy for its own good. I'm glad this movie isn't like that pun-laden disaster, but it would have been nice to see Batman and Gotham City lighten up a little during the extended run time. Despite my gripes, this is still a decent movie. It dares to deliver a superhero movie that is more akin to Zodiac, La Confidential, and the aforementioned Seven than a traditional comic book flick. The Batmobile is still cool, and the sight of Batman swooping through Gotham is still breathtaking, but don't expect to come away from the cinema with memories of over-the-top fight scenes and action movie during due. This is a serious-minded affair that takes both the character of Batman and the viewer on a journey that is rarely fun, but is quietly extraordinary all the same. Thanks for listening. Ending Explained. What did you think of the ending? Have we missed anything? Let us know your thoughts in the comments box.